What if Deku had every quirk? Now, I am going to have to add one little caveat here. All useful quirks. Because if he had every single quirk, he would look so mutated with all the different mutation quirks, all the normal abilities that just don't cohesively work together, that he'd basically just be a useless blob on the ground. Even with all the good quirks, it would be outweighed by how bad all the other quirks are, that he'd basically just be a cancerous lump on the ground. He'd just look like a flesh blob. You remember how All For One's arm looked like when he added all those quirks together for one big attack? Imagine that, but it's Deku's entire body and not used for an attack. That's just how he'd look default. But I've been rambling enough. If he had every useful quirk, this man would be a god. First off, blatantly obvious, he solos his own verse because he has every power everyone else would have, plus his own. You factor in his own standard intelligence, but then stack on the intelligence-based quirks that exist, the ability to use new order, to invoke new laws, multiple one-hit, one-touch powers. He's got multiple AoE, multiple stat-boosting abilities. He'd basically be the ultimate multi-tool. Anytime you try and hit him with one thing, he's going to throw something equally good that is either going to overpower what you tried to hit him with, or just outright counter it. And not to mention, with all the stat-boosting abilities, plus with One For All's ability to significantly amp existing powers, even a weak, good quirk is going to become even more broken thanks to One For All. Think about what happened to all the quirks within One For All, what happened to Bakugo's quirk in the second movie, but imagine that to every single good power. Hell, even if the good powers only got twice as good, that would mean stuff like New Order, instead of 2 rules, would jump up to 4. You'd have all the stat-boosting quirks be able to increase the multiplier by twice as high, or higher. This is just me assuming that it would only double everything's effectiveness, instead of how potent it usually boosts every quirk. In reality, even something like Kirishima's hardening quirk, you'd be pretty much indestructible. Like, someone could straight up drop a nuke on you, and you wouldn't even take enough damage for you to even need to use half of the healing powers that you would also have. Nothing in the world would be able to hurt you physically with this power. Even if they were to bring back the SAR Bomba, they would drop that and you would shrug it off without even needing to use something like a healing factor. Which, mind you, you have multiple, very powerful versions thanks to all the Nomus, thanks to Shigaraki. Hell, the version All For One uses is technically going to be useful too. But, since you'd also, just by default, have Ares' quirk, you wouldn't be reverting in age. Since the thing with All For One is he was just constantly aging backwards when he took damage. Since this is your quirk, and it would be amplified significantly, you could probably just get the free healing, the free rewinding, without just rewinding to non-existence. Then you got stuff like Shinzo's ability, where if you so much as even talk to him or reply to him, he just now can control you, which is probably going to have an even more potent effect thanks to the One For All amp. And there is so many. Think of every single power that has some high tier use, or hell, even the mid tier powers would still become god tier thanks to One For All, plus all the multiplier abilities that exist. But hey, what do you guys think? I definitely didn't talk about everything that this thing would be possible of. Midoriya, with every useful quirk, would straight up be a god. No one on his planet, or a lot of universes, could take them on with just their own existing powers, unless they are on literally a significantly, otherworldly tier of power compared to himself. If you factor in all the different powers that exist, all the amps, all the versatility he'd have, it would take someone at least planetary level, or a little higher, bare minimum, to argue defeating him. Because sure, planet level would definitely put them above in terms of raw strength, but with the sheer versatility, he'd probably still put a fight against a character like that.